Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. Even though, I mean, it was a victory. And that's a good thing. We'll take it. Now they're, 3-7? But boy, was that a bad game offensively for the Chicago Bears. I mean, it really? You could only score 16 points? Let's get into that, right? I mean, come on. The defense played great, so there's no doubt about it, right? But let's get into let's do a little stats, and then we'll kind of get into the meat of things and what I think and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, not a really impressive win, all right? Not really. I mean, woo! That's all I can say. Okay, so the score was 13-16. We all know that. My threes, it's kind of interesting because I've always say on my threes, if you win them, you're in the game or you're going to win the game. So they won the game, but they only won one thing out of the threes. Well, one of them's a tie, but still. So they won the time of possession, 33.31 minutes to 26.29 for Carolina. So we won that. But again, the Bears had penalties, and we're going to talk about those. I'll tell you how it hurt them. They had 7 penalties to Carolina's 5, and neither team had a turnover. So the Bears did not turn the ball over, so that's a good thing. They won the time of possession, but they didn't win the penalties. So they won the game, but I always say you're in it or you're going to win it. Well, I would say they were in it, and they barely won it, right? So that's my threes. The Bears team rushing, they had 133 yards, another great week for rushing. So important to do because it just helps your team and your quarterback. The Carolina Panthers only had 43 yards rushing, and that had a lot to do with our defense. We passed for not much, 162 yards. I know. If we don't get a 300-yard game this year, it's just going to be freaking embarrassing. Carolina passed for 170 yards. The Bears had 3 sacks. Carolina did not sack Bagent at all. So, and Bagent was 20 of 33. He had 162 yards and no turnovers this week. And I will tell you, it showed. He seemed to be playing very cautiously. You could tell from last week to this week, you saw a different Bagent out there. He still looked comfortable when the line was starting to collapse on him. He still didn't get happy feet like Fields does, but he wasn't making the passes or even attempting to like he did last week. And that, I'm sure, had a lot to do with his confidence of 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and 1 fumble last week. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it, but you could tell he played very cautiously. I don't know. He just seemed a little uncomfortable out there, and not because of the line not hold. They did another great game, but excuse me. But I don't know if his confidence had to be shaken after last week. Had to be. I don't care what he says. It had to be. So, but he didn't turn over the ball. And he managed the game. That's what he did. He managed the game. And you've heard that. You've heard it for years about how certain quarterbacks are out there and they manage the game and don't make mistakes. Well, this is exactly what Bagent did last night. That's not always a really good thing you want. You want your quarterback to be able to throw 300 yards and light it up, right? And you don't want him to be a manager out there. We just don't want that. We've had that too long in the history of the Bears, okay? So that's my take on that. And then Foreman, number 21, this guy, I just love him. I love watching him run. He had 80 yards. I want to see this guy get a 100-yard game. He certainly deserves it. And you know what? I have a new game. You know how I always used to say, no, Getsy don't get it? Well, my buddy on my podcast, Dan, him and I came up with a new no Getsy. No Getsy. You know what I'm saying? You know what? Get this guy the ball more. I mean, he really helped the team, and he was getting, when he scored that touchdown, so he had 80 yards and 1 touchdown, he took several guys. They stopped him, And he continued to run for 4 more yards and got that touchdown. That was all on him and his legs. And I love this guy. I really, really do. And I wanted to see him get the ball more and more. Moore had 58 yards. Obviously, the receiving yards weren't that great because he only threw for 162 yards. But we won. And these guys didn't make any mistakes out there. Now, we're going to talk about the penalties because if you watch my show, you know I just hate penalties. Hate them. They're so destructive. They screw everything up for your team. So the Bears had 7. So let's break down a couple plays where the penalties really hurt. So in the first quarters, the Bears had great field position, and because of the penalty, they got great field position, and all they got out of it was a field goal attempt. So he goes to kick the field goal, it goes in, and penalty. So now he's got to go back out there, Santos, and kick a 54-yarder. Now, you know what? That's bullshit. But thank you, Santos. He made it. But penalty pushes back and could have knocked us out of getting those 3 points. And let's face it, the score was 13-16. We lose that that field goal, it's 13-13. And who knows what would have happened, right? So we may not be happy today, but we are. Next penalties that hurt the Bears. In the second quarter, they had 2 penalties on a drive. There was they were driving again, and then Bagent had a really nice run for a first down penalty. Instead of 1st and 10, it's 1st and 20. And before you know it, they got another penalty, and it was 3rd and 20. They didn't pick it up. Punt. All because of the 2 penalties. Then in the third quarter, the Bears were having another nice drive. They get a first down. Penalty comes up. They push back. They don't get the first down, and they had to do a punt. It was the Bears on that penalty in the third quarter. They got the first down. Then it was, second down. Then they got a penalty on the second down. Then they didn't do anything. Then it was 3rd and long. Punt. Are you picking up the, what's going on here with these penalties, how bad they are? And then in the fourth quarters, the Bears defense, only really bad thing that they did. So they had Carolina push back. Carolina had 2 to 3 penalties, I believe, and then it was 1st and 30. And then they kind of got a chunk here and there, and then before you know it, the Bears defense got a penalty, ended up giving Carolina the first down. They then go for a field goal and make it. So these are just examples of how bad the penalties are. And the Bears are not nearly as good enough to overcome these penalties. So several penalties in the first, second, and third quarter for the Bears offense stopped drives. They were driving, and then boom, penalties come out. Can't do it. I haven't looked yet, but they've got to be on the bottom of the league as penalties this year. Last year, they were the 3rd best for the least amount. And I do say a lot of that has to do with the coaches, lack of discipline. They got to get on these players more. They got to get in their heads and pound in their head. Discipline, no penalties. It's so destructive. It only helps the other team. It doesn't help you in the least. And it just stopped so many drives last night. And let's face it, 16 points, we needed more points, right? So they've got to stop with this. And, I don't know if it's Flus or no Getsy, but I'll tell you what, one of them has got to get on these guys and stop the frickin' penalties. Excuse me. And I want to know what happened to our special teams. All season, our special teams have been playing really, really well. No mistakes. Last week, Santos missed 1 field goal, but the punting, the return team, and the field goals have been great. Well, we all know what happened last night. That guy gets past everybody. Boom, it's a touchdown, a punt return touchdown. Now they have 7 points. The defense, when you think about it, so the Bears defense only gave up 6 points. That 7 points was on the return team, not the Bears defense. So there's a pattern here, as you're seeing. The last 3 to 4 games, the Bears defense has given up very little points. When you considering, like last week, look at that, 5 turnovers and they gave up 24 points. And they only gave up 7 points after his 3 interceptions. So it's impressive. That defense is really coming together. I mean, there was a point last night on the defense where Sanborn, who is just getting better and better each week, he did like he was going to fake a blitz and then instead tricked Bryce Young, stayed back there and almost had an interception. So, the Bears really played, but to finish with the special teams, they had a rough night. And then Gill, in the third quarter, our punter, had a 26-yard punt, which gave them great field position, and they got a field goal out of that, Carolina. So not a good night for special teams. Let's get back let's go on to what it was good. The only, out of offense, special teams, and defense really, at first there was the first couple drives that they didn't look that great, and then they stopped them, and I thought, oh my God, what's going on? But then they really got it together, and they had they had 3 sacks, they stopped the run, and they should have had 2 turnovers, but they were dropped by Bear defenders. Sanborn should have had that one, and who else missed one? Was it Gordon or Brisker? One of them. I think it was Gordon missed one, and it was like, come on, guys, you got to hang on to those, because those turnovers where they had them would have helped our offense out a lot. So, but the defense still looked really great. And 98, our new player, Sweat, he's making his presence known. On those 3 sacks, he was in there, and because the team is going after him and trying to double team him, it's opening up other guys, and now they're getting sacks. And this is exactly what you need. That's why you go get an edge rusher like him, so that he can pressure. Now, you want to see him get sacks too, but, he's going to be double covered a lot, and that's going to open it up for the other guys on the defensive line, and they have to step up and get these sacks, and they did. So congratulations on that. I mean, the defense really, of course, it's Carolina. They suck. I mean, Bryce Young, number 1 all-over pick, really looked bad. I mean, really bad. Our defense made him look bad. I mean, he was throwing balls that weren't even close to the receivers. And, of course, he's young, but, boy, he did not have a good game. But nor did our offense either. Our defense was just phenomenal. They won that game for us last night, in my opinion, because the defense certainly didn't. And, again, each week, the defense is it looks like that defensive line is getting better and better and better. Our backfield, our cornerbacks and our safeties, those guys have been playing lights out now that we're healthy again. So that's not an issue. It was really our defensive line and the linebackers are starting to do pretty good. Really, out of the linebackers, Sanborn is the one who's been stepping up the most. But the defensive line, each week they're getting better and better because they're getting used to each other. And now that we have Sweat in there, awesome. So we got to keep this defense going and rolling without injuries. They only had 1 penalty that hurt the Bears, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. Again, it was so important to get that defensive line together because last year we couldn't, and even the beginning of the year we couldn't stop the run, and now we're in the top 5 in stopping the run on defense. Isn't that crazy? But it's true, and it makes a huge difference for the defense, for your offense, and it gets their offense off the field. So important. So defense, they were the team. The defense should have gotten, the whole defensive team should have gotten a game ball last night, hands down, should have. So that's it. We know the defense. Lucas Badgett, I already talked to him how he played. He just didn't look the same as he's in previous weeks, and I'm sure it had to do with those 3 interceptions and 1 fumble last week against New Orleans, especially when we had that game in our hands, and he was playing so well, and then the bottom fell out in the end of the third and fourth quarter. So, and it looks like it has shaken his confidence, even though he says it didn't, but it sure looked like it last night. And Noah Getsy called another bad game. Some of those plays were just ridiculous. If, we got to throw down the field more. And if you don't think he's got it, maybe that's it. I don't know why he calls some of these bullshit plays. I would have liked to see him run a little bit more. We did have 100 and whatever I said yards rushing, so that was good, but I would have liked to seen a little bit more, especially, at the end of the game, he was doing it. I said it to my son when it was, I don't know, 5-6 minutes left and the Bears had the ball. I said, feed it to him, and he did and he didn't, so Noah Getsy, we want him out of here. Getsy, to be honest with you, excuse me, I have some opinions on, and this is my opinion on what's going on with Fields and this and that, and this could be a possibility. I'm just going to throw this out there. They haven't had Fields in there. He wasn't 100% because he couldn't grip the ball. I do believe with this mini bye, he'll be back a week from Sunday. We're playing in Detroit, and I think Fields will be back. And I don't know, is Fields still a possibility to be the future of the Bears? Do the Bears think he is? Remember, this coaching staff did not draft him. This was their quarterback. And sometimes coaching staffs don't, their philosophy is different. And we've seen that with Fields, no doubt. They want him to be a pocket passer, and that's not what he is. And he's not that. I mean, he is and he isn't, but he still gets happy feet when that line starts to crash in on him. And then he just gets flustered and makes mistakes or gets sacked. It's something you haven't seen from Bagent at all. And I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying this is what one guy's good at and one guy's not. And we need Fields to be, we're talking about Fields, and he has to be better at that. So, I don't know. Fields, I believe that, he's going to be back. Fields, at this point, I believe, is trying out for the Bears. And he's trying out for other football teams. Because what the Bears could do, if they don't like what they see the rest of the year, they could go draft another quarterback for sure. I guess it's a pretty good draft class this year, although we still have some time to go. And they could, I've heard people say keep Fields, let the quarterback sit on the bench for a year. And then, because Fields has got another year. He's got the next year. This is not his last year. He's got one more year with the Bears. We could keep Fields, let the young quarterback sit on the bench and learn, or the Bears could trade Fields. And I don't know if they'd throw the young guy in or Bagent would do it. But I think Bagent's going to be our backup quarterback for the future. I really do. I don't think he's going to be the starter unless no Getsy gets out of town. I mean, really, 16 points against Carolina? No. We should have at least had 10 more points, at least. It should have been 24, at least the 13. I predicted the game was going to be 24-14, but, I mean, come on. You know what? And I just, no Getsy. Get him out of town. But I just don't know. Fields, we can't get a feel of what the Bears want to do with him. And I don't know, he's when he comes back, hopefully next week, he's got to play lights out if he wants to be the franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Or I believe we're going to get a quarterback next year in the draft, and they're going to trade him. I heard somebody say, was it last night? Oh, no, I heard it on the NFL channel yesterday before the Bears game. One of the guys was saying that they felt that Fields would be much better in a West Coast offense, like the 49ers run. Those kind of offenses, they feel he would be better because that's more of a let him take off if he wants to. They run the ball a lot, although the Bears run the ball a lot. But the Bears don't really want him to do that. They don't want that to be his first choice. The Bears want him to throw down the field. The Bears want a quarterback that can throw down the field consistently while standing in the pocket, running if he has to once in a while to get a first down, and get 300 yards a game. I mean, at least 250 to 300 yards a game, you got to have that to win in this. And Fields has not shown that yet. So there's a lot riding on the second half of this season and Fields and what's going to happen. And the unfortunate part for him is no Getsy, don't get it, and his play calling sucks. So we don't know what's going to happen. Again, beige it to me unless there's some major improvement. He keeps getting better and better. His arm strength gets stronger because that's a problem getting it in. When I say that, it's not how far he can throw it down the field. It's threading that ball in, what like he did last night. Oh God, who was it? There was two defenders close to the receiver, and it was 15, I believe, who caught it. Was it? Yeah, it was 15. And the receivers, the defensive guys just came in, and he whipped it in there. There was no room for error, but he got it. We got a first down. And that's what I mean about arm strength, is he's got to be able to whip it in those small windows. And we saw what happened last week. I thought last week maybe he was getting a little too comfortable and trying to do too much to be a hero. You know what I mean? So he's got to pump the brakes a little bit and play within himself right now. And play smart football. Don't do something you can't do. But if he can get that arm strength ability stronger to get it in there, I don't know if it's possible. I assume it probably is. You just have to work on it. Maybe we'll see something, but I don't know. That's just my opinion on the whole quarterback. But we all know it's up in the air, and it's just a mess, as it always is for the Chicago Bears. I mean, cripe's sake. Really? When are we going to get a real bona fide winning Super Bowl quarterback? When? Anyways, so basically that's the game. You know what? It was a squeaker. It was boring. The offense looked stagnant. I thought we should have gotten way more points against that team. They look bad. I mean, the Bears don't look as bad as Carolina did. That's for sure. But only throwing for 162 yards and only scoring 16 points don't help, don't help people. You make people believe that, yeah, the Bears are good. And people say, but they're not. But I'll tell you what, they're better than Carolina. So that's one thing to be said. We are 3-7. Woo, woo, woo. And if we win at least one more game, we'll be better than last year. All right. Yeah, baby. That pisses me off. I'm joking, but it pisses me off. I wanted at least a 500 or close to 500 season, and I thought we could do it. I don't think we can do it now. Well, you never know. The defense is getting better and better. The thing about our defense is they've got to hang on to those possible turnovers, and that will really help everything. So if we could get that, our defense to do one last thing, because they're really playing well. So we won, and I'm supposed to be singing the touchdown song, but I've got a sore throat. I'm not feeling that great. I've got surgery on Monday for a complete knee replacement. And if I get a fever in the next couple days, because my grandson's sick, he's got a high fever. My daughter-in-law's sick. If I get sick, there's no surgery, and I will just be beside myself. This has been going on for a year, and I need it so bad. I can barely walk on it, and I have 17 stairs in my house, so you can imagine. And I'm 65 and old, so I need a knee. So, I'm not, because I just don't, my throat hurts, I can't sing the song. I'm so sorry, because I know a lot of you turned me on today, to see me sing the Bears touchdown song, and I apologize. Maybe next week after the Bears beat Detroit. If the Bears beat Detroit a week from Sunday, I will sing that song better than you've ever heard. Okay, so that's the game. So let's talk about a few other things about last night. If you watched the game, I don't know what was up with Coach Flus. He comes out, the sideline reporter after halftime asks him about, this and that, and he answers, and then he says, but look out for some second half surprises from us, so don't turn away. What was that all about? You barely won the game, Coach Flus. You idiot. I mean, he looked like a moron saying it, and then when nothing happened, he looked like a bigger doofus moron. Seriously, he looks like a dork on the sideline, doesn't he? At least wear a hat. Not a visor, but a hat. Come on. All coaches wear hats. Not all, but most. He does look like a dork, though. He really does. I don't know. I hear people say, get rid of no Getsy. Keep Flus, get rid of no Getsy, and of course hire a defensive coordinator. Some people think we should keep Flus. I don't know. He's made some decisions this year that I just don't like, and I think he should have been fired for that. So I don't know. And Poles for the last few weeks has just been pumping it up on Flus, Coach Flus, how much he loves them and this and they've got confidence and this and that. So when you hear that, it worries me that he's going to be the coach next year. I will say that if he is still the coach, I could sort of live with that as long as no Getsy is gone, because he can't call a offensive game. Not for our team, that's for sure, okay? So I don't know what Flus was doing. He looked like an idiot making that prediction. Oh, there's something special that's going to happen. Nothing special happened. We won 16-13. Nothing special about that game, Coach. I'm just saying. And then, now this really pissed me off. I don't know about you guys, but if it did, I would like to start some social media about this. Why was Getsy from the Eagles being interviewed while the Bears were playing? And then they sat there between plays and had the camera on him and Michaels, the coordinator, the two announcers, Michaels and Kirk Hermstreet. And I'm like, get back to the game. They're going to call a play. And why did we have to hear about Getsy, the Eagles, and that his brother Getsy and that stupid Taylor Swift? I'm so over that. I'm sorry. I hope I don't lose any subscribers. But first of all, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. I'm 65. I am a rock and roller. 60s and 70s, my favorite music. I do listen to music after, but I'm a rock and roller, no pop, okay? And that's just me. But I don't want to hear about her when we're not even playing the Eagles or Kansas City, and then we have to hear about her, and they're showing Getsy in the booth. What bullshit. That was so disrespectful, actually, to both teams, particularly to the Bears because it was a home game. So I'm going to say it was very disrespectful, but it was to both teams, honestly. That's bullshit. They're saying that game, which they're kind of right, but that's not the point, that they needed something else to get a draw for that game. Bullshit, Prime. I don't like it's on Prime at all anyways. I don't like it. My feed is not that great. Sometimes it's slow and anything, but bullshit. And what I would love, and I know people aren't going to do it, but because it's Christmas time, but you could do it in 2024, the beginning of the season, we should start a social media post against Prime and tell everybody to cancel their accounts January 1, 2024. See how Prime likes that, huh? What a bunch of bullshit disrespect. Who do they fucking think they are? That was terrible. And I talked, my son and I were really pissed. And then my buddy Dan, who I do a podcast with, he does a thing where he talks live with another guy about the game. So he's on the air doing that. And I wrote him a comment and he's like, yeah, I know. What the hell was that? I'm like, exactly. I don't care about another team that we're not playing. And I certainly don't care about Taylor Swift when we're watching football. Give me a fucking break, Prime. You suck. The only reason I have it is because, well, I've had Prime for, free shipping and all that other stuff. But, for the football, I don't like it on their channel. And I love football, so I'm not going to get rid of it. But it really makes me mad, and they suck. And if somebody wants to start that on Instagram or Twitter, I'm only on Twitter to load my show, and that's it. I'm really pretty much only on Facebook to load my show so people can see it. And Facebook I do because I live in Vegas and a lot of my family's all over the country now. I pretty much just do posts about family and pictures from us in Vegas, my son and blah blah blah, my grandson. So I don't use those, I don't use social media much, but I'd sure like to get something started to say how disrespectful Prime is about that last night. That was bullshit. And that is all I'm saying on that. So I do apologize. I'm a little under the weather today. You know what? I have not been well since I've had COVID in September. And my grandson is real sick right now, and I think I got what he has. So I'm praying that I can get this surgery on Monday. I will just be very unhappy if I can't get this surgery. So wish me luck, guys, that I don't get a fever. But yeah, I'm not feeling great. So I could have been a little bit more vocal about that game, but we won, right? So that's the most important thing. It's another W, and that's just going to help the guys. We got a mini bye, going to help anybody who's banged up get more rest, and hopefully get Fields back on the field and for the rest of the year. And we have to see what he's got. This is it. The Bears have to know at the end of the 2023 season what they're going to do with Fields. Keep, trade, draft another quarterback. It would have been so nice if Fields turned out to be what we really needed to get us wins, to take us to the playoffs. Then in this next draft in 2024, the Bears could have concentrated in the first round because they have 2 first-round draft picks. They could have concentrated on somebody really good like an edge rusher, an offensive lineman, or another wide receiver. They could have gotten 2 of those. Two of one of those combinations, and it would really help this team next year. That's why Fields being the answer would have really, this next year in 2024 draft, we would have made that huge step, and the Bears would be off and running next year. But it hasn't materialized. We all thought it was going to. After the 2022 season, we all took what they said, we drank the Kool-Aid, and it's not happening in 2023. Not at all. Defense much better. I mean, in the beginning of the year, I was losing my mind over it. But this quarterback situation is a big, big problem. And they have to know at the end of this season what they're going to do when they go into that draft in end of April 24. Have to. So let's see what happens. Let's get Fields back on the field. And let's see him do some great play because I would like to see him succeed. He's a great athlete. There's no doubt about it. It's just the intangibles that he's just not showing right now. So, but I want him to succeed because then we get wins. And I want to go to another Super Bowl. I want to see a Super Bowl with my son, a win, because he wasn't alive in 85, and my grandsons. And that is all I'm going to say about that. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's hard to want to turn on a podcast or a YouTube show that talk about the Bears because no one really they're all pissed. Everybody's pissed, and I get it. And I wasn't overly funny today, but hey, when you turn on this show and you see this face, you know it's going to make you laugh and smile. Remember, my father's face on a woman's body, just not fair. But I like to laugh, and I got a good heart, and you know what? That was the other thing I said to my buddy when I typed something on his show last night, and I said, he's like, my buddy said on the show, his show last night, he said, it's hard being a Bears fan, and I said, try doing it for 48 years. And my buddy goes, I'm not even 48 years old, and you've been a Bears fan that long. And I'm like, I know. And I'm still here, and I do love them. I can't help it. I don't know what the draw is, but I love them. So, come on. Let's give a little love back to the fans, Bears. God knows Bears fans deserve it. Okay, so that's it. Thank you, and you know I appreciate you watching my show every week and coming back. And I've gotten a few more subscribers. I'm only 13 away from 400. That's my goal. That was my goal in the beginning of the season. I was at 305 when I started the season, so look at that. Not bad for a 65-year-old woman sitting in Vegas, not even in Illinois anymore, talking about the Bears. So, but, sorry. But I appreciate that. I only can do it because I have people watching me and listening to me. And I appreciate it. And I love the comments. Keep coming back. Only one person told us how many jerseys he's had. No one else told me. What's up with that? I have 9. I counted it. Let's see if I can remember them all before I sign off. Butkus, Peyton, Hicks, Tomzak, Klutz, Urlacher, Long, offensive line, remember him? Mooney. And what's the other one? I know there's another one. God, what is it? Did I say Tomzak? Yes. Oh, Mitchell Trubisky. So I have 9. I know it. And but I can't help it. I love them. So okay. But if you got a lot of jerseys, put it in the comment. I'd like to see. The only person that did it, I think they had 7 or 8. So they're right up there with me. We're crazy. All right. I love you guys. I always end my show this way. Be kind to one another. Let's just get along. Stop hate. There's no reason to hate someone. We're all the same. It doesn't matter what we look like. There's good and bad in everything, but good people we need to stick together because these times are just so rough. And happiness and helping each other and loving one another and respecting them is the best way to do it. So please be kind, okay? And on that note, I won't be back. Well, I'll be back a week from today, next Friday, to review the Detroit and Bears game. That'll be in Detroit a week from Sunday. And I'll see you then. Hopefully I get my surgery on Monday, complete knee replacement. Wish me luck. And go Bears. And as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. See you next week.